Hey everyone, welcome to This Explainer. Look, if you're tuning in today, you probably know the drill. Tossing, turning, and staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m., waking up feeling like you literally haven't slept a wink. It's incredibly frustrating, right? Well, today, we're acting as your personalized, actionable guide to reclaiming your rest. We're going to completely demystify insomnia, break down exactly what's going on in your brain and body, and most importantly, show you how to finally fix it.
First things first, if you're exhausted, please know you are absolutely not alone in this. Roughly 30% of all adults report not getting enough sleep. To put that into perspective, that's nearly 1 in 3 people you walk past on the street. And for older adults, that number skyrockets to nearly 48%. It's practically half. And this isn't just an individual struggle. This mass sleep deprivation is literally costing the global economy billions in lost productivity and healthcare costs every single year. So, when it feels like the whole world is drifting off effortlessly while you're wide awake, your frustration is completely valid. But today, we're arming you with the knowledge to change it.
Okay, let's dive right into our roadmap. We're going to cover the insomnia problem, the 3 Ps of insomnia, breaking that vicious cycle, the gold standard treatment, and finally, building your brand new sleep routine.
Starting off with Section 1, the insomnia problem.
So we really need to draw a clear line between what a clinical sleep issue is versus just, having a random bad night. Insomnia isn't just feeling tired. Clinically, it's defined as repeated difficulty getting to sleep, staying asleep, or having non-restorative sleep that causes actual daytime impairment. Now, the absolute key phrase here is despite adequate opportunity. Basically, it means you have the time, the quiet room, and the dark environment to get a solid 8 hours, but your brain or body just flat out refuses to cooperate. If you're staying up too late binge watching a show on purpose, that's insomnia. Wait, actually, scratch that. That's just sleep deprivation. True insomnia is when you're in bed trying to sleep, but you just can't. We also have to look at the timeline, because there's a big difference here. Acute insomnia is short-term. It's usually triggered by a stressful life event or maybe physical pain, and it lasts anywhere from a few days to a few weeks. But when this drags on, it crosses over into chronic insomnia. To hit that chronic category, these sleep struggles have to happen at least 3 nights a week and last for more than 3 months. If you're in that chronic camp, you generally need a different approach, which usually means consulting a certified sleep specialist or healthcare professional.
It's also super important to know that this doesn't hit everyone equally. Women and older adults actually show significantly higher rates of insomnia. Plus, there are other underlying medical conditions that can either trigger it or completely mimic the symptoms. Things like chronic depression, anxiety, chronic pain, or respiratory issues like asthma and COPD can severely wreck your sleep. And get this, body clock issues like delayed sleep phase syndrome are often totally misdiagnosed as insomnia because they mimic the symptoms so perfectly. Sometimes treating those primary conditions is the real secret to fixing the sleep issue.
So why does all this matter? Well, because chronic insomnia isn't just about feeling a little grumpy the next day. The long-term health risks are seriously significant. Beyond the brain fog and difficulty concentrating, a persistent lack of sleep actively suppresses your immune system, making you way more likely to catch colds and viruses. And on top of that, it significantly increases your risk for major heart issues and cardiovascular disease. Leaving this untreated takes a massive toll on your entire physical health.
Moving on to Section 2. The 3 Ps of insomnia.
Now, what's really interesting here is how insomnia actually progresses. Clinicians call this the 3 Ps model. Basically, these different factors literally stack up on top of each other, kind of like building blocks. And once they pile up high enough, they push you right over the threshold from being a normal sleeper into acute insomnia, and eventually into chronic insomnia.
Let's break those Ps down. First up, predisposing factors. This is your genetic susceptibility or just naturally having a brain that leans toward a hyperarousal state. Second, precipitating factors. These are your triggers. Think of a super stressful life event or sudden illness that kicks off the bad sleep. Now, you can't change your genetics, and you often can't dodge stressful life events. But that third P, that is where the magic happens. Perpetuating factors. These are the bad behaviors and coping habits we pick up just trying to deal with being tired. And the best part? We have 100% control over these perpetuating behaviors.
Which brings us to Section 3, breaking the vicious cycle. This quote just completely hits the nail on the head regarding this psychological trap of insomnia. You have a couple of rough nights, so you start getting anxious about not sleeping. That anxiety triggers physical arousal. Your heart races, your mind won't shut off. And all that arousal prevents you from drifting off, which makes you sleep even worse, which leads to, you guessed it, more anxiety. It is a devastating loop where the fear of not sleeping totally destroys your confidence to just let go and rest. And the crazy thing is, we often try to cope in ways that actually fuel this exact cycle. So here are the habits you need to drop right now. Drinking caffeine in the afternoon to fight off the grogginess, that just keeps your nervous system totally wired at night. Using a glass of alcohol to relax before bed, it might feel like it helps initially, but as it wears off, it fragments your sleep and wakes you up. Oh, and watching the clock, absolutely brutal. It just builds intense performance anxiety. And surprisingly, going to bed earlier just to spend more time in bed trying to force sleep is one of the worst things you can do because it trains your brain to associate the bed with pure frustration.
Section 4. The gold standard treatment.
If you've ever mentioned to a friend that you can't sleep, they've probably told you to just keep your room dark or cut out the coffee. Well, that's basic sleep hygiene. But here's the kicker. Sleep hygiene alone is actually not recommended as a standalone fix for chronic insomnia. It's great for helping normal sleepers maintain good habits, sure. But if you have clinical insomnia, you need CBT-I, cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia. CBT-I is a structured program that uses strict sleep restriction, stimulus control, and cognitive therapy to actively restructure how your brain thinks about sleep.
Behavioral therapies like CBT-I are considered the absolute gold standard in sleep medicine. Why? Because they actually address the root cause by rewiring those sleep-specific thoughts and behaviors. Now, there's a huge misconception out there that over-the-counter sleep aids are a long-term cure. But honestly, those are just a temporary sedating Band-Aid fix. While meds can give you quick, short-term relief, research consistently proves that CBT-I has much longer-lasting effects, all without the nasty risks of dependency, grogginess, or adverse morning side effects. It's about retraining your brain, not just sedating it.
Section 5, your new sleep routine. Let's make this actionable.
Let's build your new evening wind down step by step. Step 1, reserve exactly 1 hour before bed to put away every single screen. Getting natural bright light exposure during the day is fantastic for your melatonin production, but that artificial blue light from your phone at night, it totally wrecks it. Step 2, take 15 minutes well before bed to write out a worry list or a to-do list for tomorrow. You gotta get those anxieties out of your head and onto paper so they don't get into bed with you. And step 3, this is absolutely vital, do not get into bed until your eyelids are heavy and you are genuinely, physically sleepy.
But, okay, let's play this out. What happens when you do everything right? You get into bed feeling super sleepy and bam, your eyes snap open. You're staring at the ceiling for 10, 15, 20 minutes. What do you do then?
You follow the golden rule of stimulus control. Get out of bed. Seriously, if you just lay there awake and frustrated, you are actively developing what clinicians call mind-body-learned insomnia. Your brain starts linking your physical mattress with anxiety and wakefulness. You have to break that association. Get up, leave the bedroom, go read a boring book under dim light in another room, and only go back to your bed when you feel overwhelmingly sleepy again. The bed has to be strictly reserved for sleep and intimacy, nothing else.
And during the day, you've got to support this with a strict hygiene checklist. The single most powerful thing you can do for your biological clock, wake up at the exact same time every single day. Yes, even on weekends. Make sure to exercise regularly to deepen your sleep drive, but finish up at least 2 hours before bed so your core body temperature can cool down. Skip the heavy meals and excessive fluids late at night so you aren't waking up to use the bathroom, and optimize that bedroom. Make it as dark, cool, and quiet as a literal cave.
To actually know if all these lifestyle changes are working, you need to keep a sleep diary. Tracking your bedtime, wake time, awakenings, and daytime fatigue for just a week or two is a total game changer. Not only does visually comparing your tracking charts against healthy sleep patterns help you spot hidden issues like, say, that late afternoon coffee you completely forgot about, but if you do need to see a sleep specialist later on, this diary gives them the exact hard data they need to properly diagnose you. Look, at the end of the day, consistency is absolutely your strongest tool here. You didn't develop chronic insomnia overnight, and you aren't going to fix it overnight, right? Retraining your brain takes time and a lot of patience. But by recognizing your predisposing factors, managing your triggers, and aggressively cutting out those perpetuating bad habits, you can absolutely break the cycle and reclaim your rest. I want to leave you with a question to really think about tonight. Look at your own evening routine. What is just one maladaptive habit, whether it's that 3 p.m. coffee, scrolling on your phone in bed, or lying awake obsessively watching the clock, that you can commit to dropping tonight? Start small, take action, and start rebuilding your confidence in your body's natural ability to sleep. And hey, if you're a caregiver supporting a loved one through this, please remember to practice patience. Breaking this cycle is a really vulnerable and frustrating process for them.
Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I sincerely wish you all a fantastic night's rest.